Hello, good evening here in southern Australia, in the beautiful region of Gippsland for the Sydney Melbourne Touring route, Gippsland Special. We have here Sydney Melbourne Touring. Ladies and gentlemen, before we introduce our next guest, or our first guest, Sydney Melbourne Touring, you are watching us live stream here, and also on your screens you also have a chat. So if you want to ask us any question, it is live, it's fun. You can ask us questions about what we're going to talk about. And let's introduce him, the main man for this evening, and is Paul Cooper.
Thank you very much, George. And hello, UK. Thanks for joining us.
Hello.
George, we had the most awesome day today.
What a day.
The biggest problem with UK time is by the time these guys get up and go to work, and I know a lot of you have been to work at 7 a.m., but not all of you have. So just gone 9:30 now in the UK. But when it gets to 9:30 in the UK, this is what happens to our backdrop. But what we actually did, George, was we actually recorded some of what we got up to today, didn't we?
So don't be alarmed, guys. There's lots of amazing visions to see. Look at what we did today.
This is it. This is just down the bottom of the hill from where we are at the beautiful Jetty Road Retreat. And Steve and Kim, who look after Jetty Road Retreat, took us out for this awesome ride in the boat. We went out into the lakes, and we seemed to be going all day, you know. We went over to Meetung, and we looked at various islands and riverbanks and bird life and stuff. But Steve said we only covered like 10% of the total lakes area, George.
Absolutely. And remind our viewers the Sydney Melbourne Touring road trips. What did they get to on this?
Well, we've actually got two road trips, George. We've got the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive, and we also have the Sydney Melbourne Heritage Drive. Okay. Now, the Heritage Drive is our inland drive, so that takes in Canberra, along the Murray River, down through Bendigo and into Melbourne. But our Coastal Drive, looking at the map here, is where we're positioned at the moment. So if you look at...
blue line.
That's correct, yes. If you look at the Bairnsdale there, and then you've got Lakes Entrance, imagine in the middle of that you drew a line straight to the coast. You've got Meetung, and next to that you've got Nungurna, and that's where we are right now at the beautiful Jetty Road Retreat, George.
It's really a beautiful place. My goodness, I was blown away when I came here. So we'll talk more about Jetty Road Retreat a little bit later on. But you've got some great accommodations here at the Gippsland, haven't you?
Actually, right throughout Gippsland, we've got some really good accommodation, George. I might start in the town of Walhalla, because Walhalla's quite close to Melbourne, a couple of hours out of Melbourne. In its heyday, its population was around 5,000 people when it was a gold mining town, and of course now the population is anywhere between 12 and 20 people. That's the permanent population, and what we're looking at here is the Star Hotel in Walhalla. It's run by a guy called Michael Leaney. Michael and Russell do a great job looking after the property there, and Michael is like a walking, talking encyclopedia on the town of Walhalla. And the Star Hotel's just passed its 20th anniversary as well, George, so they're doing a lot of celebrating there at the moment.
So we can focus on just the small patch. What about that?
Just before that, let me talk about the other side of Gippsland. There's this beautiful place called Gypsy Point. Now, it's at the Malakuta Inlet, and you can see the Malakuta Inlet here. And the Gypsy Point Lakeside, you can see down in the foreground there where all of those buildings and so forth are. But having a closer look, they're not really that far away. So this is standing on the decks of the two-bedroom, fully self-contained accommodation, looking out over the one-bedrooms down below, and then the inlet behind that. The accommodation is fully self-contained, and of course when you wake up in the morning, this is what you greet, George. You see these beautiful wildlife. Wow. The kangaroos are always there. They're everywhere. Now, you did mention about focusing on a patch.
Yes.
The Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive, is over 1,000 kilometres. Yes. So there's a lot of driving. Now, Gippsland makes up half of that. Gippsland's a really big part of Victoria.
It is.
So it's really hard for us when we're doing our training sessions in market to be able to focus on all of Sydney Melbourne Touring when we usually have like a 10, maybe 15-minute appointment if we're lucky. Yeah. So what we're doing with our live streams is focusing on one patch. And for this one, we're in the beautiful East Gippsland region of Victoria, and that's where we're going to focus our attention today, George,
or this evening. If we even go smaller patch where we are now, Jetty Road, I mean, this is such a great place. I kind of like to show you We're actually eating pizza at the moment, and our lovely hosts here, Kim and Steve, are looking after us. Shall we cross live to Steve?
Actually, that's the fire pit, and I think Steve's cooking pizza at the moment because there's no one at the fire pit.
But, okay.
But we've got some guests standing by to be online, and once they're offline, I'm sure they'll be down there at the fire pit. The other thing that you might think is really weird at 9:30 in the morning in the UK is drinking wine, but hey, it's certainly past 1 o'clock here in Australia. So cheers.
Wow. Well, there we go. That's you got any more to say, or shall we just move on? I think we should just move on.
I think we should introduce our first special guest.
Our very special guest. She's from Destination Gippsland. You'll know her as Alison Conroy. So it is live TV, so we're going to cross across. There we go. See you later, Paul. Hello,
Seamless.
Alison.
Hi, George. How are you?
What a great patch this is. This is one of your favourite places, isn't it?
It is.
And so, Alison, how do you get to Gippsland?
Well, George, the road out to the east of Melbourne will bring you into Gippsland. And right here, you can see that big, complicated map there. There's that main big, thick line that runs right through the middle. Now, Paul's already mentioned going to Walhalla, and we highly, highly recommend that on every itinerary that you put together for your clients. But you know, en route to East Gippsland there, where you can see the lakes around that Bairnsdale area that Paul mentioned earlier, we really encourage people to get off that main road and enjoy some of our small country towns and our wineries and our beautiful little nature-based experiences that you find in pockets just off that main road. And, you know, we're here to help trade sort of understand all of that and the reasons why people need to spend a lot of time in Gippsland.
Absolutely, and definitely included in their itineraries.
Absolutely.
Yeah, now, what makes the Lakes region so special?
Well, obviously the lakes is a bit of a giveaway. They're the largest inland waterway system in the southern hemisphere, so obviously in Australia. But what that means is if people haven't ever sailed or kayaked or stand-up paddleboarding, that's really popular these days. We've got these really beautiful sheltered waterways and loads and loads of room for everyone to learn the craft. And you know, our guests from the UK are all very adventurous, so they like to get out there. We've got a couple of tour operators that can help them with learning some of these activities or undertaking some of these activities. And out there on the lakes, you know, you might be lucky enough to see it happens a lot actually, to see some of our local dolphins and the wildlife out there as well. So the water is absolutely what we...
Just paradise.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm just blown away myself. What else is there to do off the water here?
Lots and lots of things to do off the water. So we encourage our guests to enjoy some of the other experiences like bike riding. We've got a lot of rail trails in Gippsland, and East Gippsland has a magnificent one, in fact. And we have a couple of operators in the region who love to take international clients out on one day to up to 5 days. So you can go cycling in East Gippsland with Snowy River Cycles or with Venture Out. We also encourage guests to go up to Buchan Caves. I'm not swearing. And Buchan Caves is Buchan is a town not far from the Lakes region. It just takes about 45 minutes to drive up there. Beautiful country drive, and you get to this really great little village with these 400 million year old limestone caves to explore. And of course the reserve there is also beautiful with lots of bushwalks and lots of kangaroos. We've also got Raymond Island, but I'm going to leave that for Paul to talk about a little bit more because it is our koala capital. And further north, there is the Croajingolong Wilderness. Now, I love this part of Gippsland. It is really pristine remote wilderness, and I don't want people to be put off by that because all that means is really spectacular bushwalks, lots of wildlife, these great sand dunes you can see on the screen. Lots of opportunity just to get out there and enjoy Mother Nature. And of course, we've got a 90-mile long beach. So that's one of our key attractions is that you can get out and stand there on this beach that just continues for actually 94 miles, I believe.
Wow.
And you're probably the only people there. And that starts at Lakes Entrance.
Yeah, well, if you want to go where the majority of the tourists don't go, well, this is definitely the place to go. Absolutely, and yeah, it's like just a wilderness wonderland, wilderness heaven for everyone. Now, I hear there's some great places you can eat and drink.
Yes, we do.
Tell
like
me
our
about
food. I particularly like my food.
Me too.
So, so here in Gippsland's a food bowl. We're the dairy capital of Australia, as one of our key noteworthy points. But what that means for us in the Lakes region is, of course, the fresh seafood and the opportunity to eat the bountiful harvest from the ocean. We have a number of beautiful restaurants, and the first of those that I'd like to mention is Sardine. Sardine recently won a hat. There's a picture of Sardine for you all. It's located at Paynesville, so there's 3 villages that hug the lakes, and Paynesville is one of them. And you can dine at Sardine. There's some of the beautiful fresh sardines just before you go across to Raymond Island. So that's, as I mentioned, that's a hatted restaurant for Victoria. So people come out from Melbourne just to go and eat at Sardine. So it's really special. The Long Paddock at Lindenow is it's a treat. It is sort of really good country fare, but taking it up a notch. So ex-Vue de Monde chefs, so really sort of highbrow chefs that we've got there, cooking this really beautiful, rich country food. And again, people come out from Melbourne just to go to the Long Paddock at Lindenow. And of course, it would be remiss of me not to mention the fact that you can actually pick up seafood and fish straight from the wharf and straight off the boats, of course. And there's Off the Wharf, which is aptly named, where you can go and buy your fresh seafood, including, of course, our crabs. Crabs are very popular out here. And further north, abalone, which is really, really popular.
So we love our pizzas.
We do love our pizzas, especially tonight. Oof. And we even put seafood on our pizzas, George. So that's the Lakes region. We have a lot of really great food.
We also, I love this place.
Yes. So Paul showed you all that he was actually enjoying a glass of lovely Gippsland Red. We are a cool climate vineyard destination. That's Lightfoot and Sons here in East Gippsland. They have a beautiful cellar door with this fantastic view out over the valley. So you can stand there and enjoy a glass of Lightfoot Chardonnay or Lightfoot Pinot Noir, because we are really known for our Pinot Noirs down here in Gippsland, and really take in that beautiful scenery. So yes, we love our wines. We also have great farm gates, so lots and lots of places to buy fresh produce in East Gippsland. And you can, this is Picnic Point Farm, which is located near Bairnsdale. You can stop and stock up on all your fresh fruit and vegetables with 0 food miles, because the food has just been grown right there at Picnic Point.
It seems like it's the complete package here.
Oh,
it certainly is. Remember, Gippsland is, you've got to put that on your itinerary.
Absolutely.
Accommodation-wise, which Paul talked a bit about before, but
indeed,
yourself?
We have lots of really great accommodation in the region, and obviously Jetty Road Retreat, where we're at tonight.
I love this place, yes.
I know, it's fantastic, isn't it? Had the best night here last night. I'll leave Kim to talk about Jetty Road, but there's a nearby town called Meetung. So I mentioned that we had 3 villages. Meetung's one of those 3, and that's 5 knots at Meetung there. That has a choice of 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments for people to stay in, and as you can see, it's right on the jetty. So everything is centred around our beautiful lakes. Macmillan's at Meetung, that's just up the road from 5 knots, and again 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartment choices there. Really great for families, this property. It's got you can see the kids' playground. It's got a great big lawn. It's just really family friendly and really easy going, but it's also right on the water, which you really can't tell from that picture. It's got its own jetty as well. Over in Lakes Entrance, which is the 3rd of the 3 villages, we've got the Bellevue Hotel, and the Bellevue has, again, 1, 2 and 3 bedroom apartments. It's really easy to remember our East Gippsland offerings, and they're right on the Esplanade at Lakes Entrance, so right on that main thoroughfare there in the delightful village of Lakes Entrance. And the last one I want to mention is the Esplanade, which, as its name suggests, is also on the Esplanade at Lakes Entrance. This is more of a resort style accommodation, George. It has, again, 1, 2 and 3 bedrooms, and it has an indoor and an outdoor pool, a spa facility, and of course some good dining options there as well. But you're in Lakes Entrance, so you've got a good choice of places to eat while you're there.
That's great. Well, I hope you're jotting all this down, because I tell you what, there's a lot to sell. And it's all product ready for everyone to sell.
Absolutely, all of it.
There we go. Yeah. Well, let's wrap things up, Alison. Thanks for that, and I really appreciate it. We'll see you at ATE.
Yes, I'll be at ATE, everyone. See you there.
It's so important that your guests have great accommodation, and Paul has picked up some extras. Shall we cross to Paul?
One of the great things about the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive is there is no shortage of accommodation, and we've got some pretty magnificent properties along the way.
Well done.
One of my favourites is the Riverslea in Bairnsdale, and I've got Rachel from the Riverslea at the moment. So Rachel, how long have you been at the Riverslea?
Gosh, it's nearly 5.5 years now.
Wow.
We've moved from Meetung to Bairnsdale, about 5.5 years ago. We brought the family in with schooling and have this wonderful business now.
And tell me about the property.
So it was originally a manor house and terrace housing, and it was converted into a hotel about 1985. So a big full refurbishment was done then, and then we actually did another refurb about 3.5 years ago, so we've brought it back to life again. So the building itself is 135 years old this year.
Wow, and how many rooms do you have?
We have 22. So all en-suited rooms, and we've kept as much of the heritage furniture as we had here, but we've also brought in a bit of a modern feel as well.
One of the things that I think is also really special about the Riverslea is the catering. I mean, coming here for things like high tea and the meals and so forth. How much is the food and wine component of the property a part of the business?
Yeah, it is a big part, and we use as much local produce as possible as well. So we have a continental breakfast, which is included in all of our stays. So beautiful homemade muesli and poached fruit, and so everything we can do ourselves or buy in locally we have. Beautiful wines from the local wineries, Wyanga and Nicholson and Lightfoot's Winery. And we also have an all-day grazing menu, so people can come in at whatever time they like and have a lovely cheese and antipasto platter or a ploughman's platter with their wine or local beer, and yeah, it works really well.
So many fantastic wineries, and Rachel just mentioned Lightfoot, that's Lightfoot and Sons, and last night I had a bottle of their 2016 Pinot. It's one of the best Pinots I've had anywhere. It is an awesome wine.
It's certainly our most popular.
We were talking before we started rolling the camera on the international visitors, and you were saying some mornings you come down at breakfast and it's like pick the accent. Where are your international visitors coming from?
Look, primarily Germany and England would be the top two, but we are seeing emerging from Canada, America. Look, really all over now. Norway, you know, we have great chats with people, you know, to see where they've come from and, you know, the rest of their trip around Australia. So, yeah, we love our international guests. It's a big part of the Riverslea.
Okay, well, let's talk about locations. So you're located in Bairnsdale, which is not too far from Lakes Entrance and not that far from Wilson's Promontory National Park. But say within half an hour of the Riverslea, what sorts of things can your clients do? Yeah,
probably the most popular is to go to the lakes. So we've got Lakes Entrance is just over 30-minute drive. So we always recommend that the customers get out onto the water to really get a feel of what the Gippsland Lakes and East Gippsland is about. So there's some great cruises, or you can hire a boat themselves, or paddleboarding, kayaking. There's lots of things to do on the water, and the dolphins are also a big draw card out there. Paynesville's only less than 15-minute drive, so driving to Paynesville you can catch the ferry over to Raymond Island, which is a great day out to spot the koalas, and just a lovely little island. And then a little bit longer is the Buchan Caves, but that's probably a 45-minute drive from Bairnsdale, and that's a lovely day trip as well. Great for, doesn't matter what the weather's like because it's a constant 22 degrees in the caves. So yeah, lots to see. Bairnsdale is just a really great base to go out and see all the wonderful things that the region has to offer.
Fantastic. So that's the Riverslea, one of the great accommodation properties on the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive. Thanks, Rachel.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. I'm staying here at Jetty Road Retreat, and I absolutely love it. And you probably heard me say that so many times. But with me here, ladies and gentlemen, I have the owners, Kim. How are we, Kim?
I'm good. I'm good, George.
And we also, and one thing I love about your place is the way you make your pizzas. And your husband, co-owner, here he is, Steve, is going to treat us right now. Very, very exciting. Look at this.
We like to keep it in the family.
Absolutely. Well, welcome. And you're proud owners of this wonderful property. Kim, tell us about it.
So, Jetty Road Retreat, it's a family-owned business. We are 3 hours east of Melbourne and just off the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive. So most of our agents will know Lakes Entrance, they'll know Meetung, and we are this teeny tiny little place in the middle called Nungurna.
That's right,
which,
yes.
like all the best kept secrets, nobody's ever heard of, but wow, when you get here, we are certainly putting Nungurna on the map, one international visitor at a time. So it's all about the views and the birds. It's hard to kind of convey that at this time of night, but it's a pretty special place. So we have 4 two-bedroom cabins right here on the lake. So the Gippsland lakes are behind us, the largest inland waterway. Enjoy that pizza, George.
I'm really trying to special.
And it's amazing. It's just really, really beautiful. What else can I say? Gosh, I
got you a bit flustered there, didn't I? I tell you
what.
what. Now, what do your international visitors enjoy most about your property?
So I think there's an absolute surprise and delight when they get here, George, because they've never really heard of Nungurna. They're like, okay, we're somewhere on the Gippsland Lakes. This is where we're stopping tonight. And then they get here to the most spectacular view that you can't see, but here's an aerial shot. So we're literally on the water. We've got a private jetty, and just this beautiful kind of waterway in front of you, which guests get to enjoy. And here's a shot of our cabins. So we've got 4 two-bedroom cabins. They're comfortable. They've all got amazing views of the lake, private deck, outdoor dining. So I guess it's just that waterside living experience that they may not have picked up on when they when they were looking at their itinerary, but they get here and there's a real wow factor in terms of the view. And it is just a place to break up the journey. You know, they may have come from Sydney or, a more populated region, and they come to this absolute kind of idyllic, secluded location that no one's ever heard of and go, wow, this place is amazeballs. I should stay for another night or two. Oh, mate, that's the most common feedback we get. I just wish I'd booked another night. But, I
can feel your passion, how much you love this. And it goes back generations. And, I love your story. You should actually hear about their story, which...
It's a nice story.
It is a nice story, but we won't go onto it at the moment.
Story.
So how do you ensure each guest has a great time while they visit? You probably said it anyway, but...
well, no, I'm glad you asked that. It's a family-owned business. We're owner-operators. My kids go to the school up the road, so I literally roll down here every morning, George, and I see who's here. And I try and meet every guest, and I literally say, what do you know? What do you want to see? How long are you here for? How can I help you kind of get the best out of our region? We are proud ambassadors of East Gippsland. We love where we live, and we try and experience it every other weekend. So we really kind of, want guests to get under the skin of this region because it is so amazing in terms of the produce and the attractions and just the natural beauty. Like, this is a coastal and aquatic paradise. We've got, 90 miles of beach just behind the dune.
The birds and animals.
So we just want to help people get what they want out of their time here. But honestly, a lot of them just want to sit where we're sitting right now and gaze out at that view. And honestly, who could blame them?
Well, I think everyone's convinced right now is they're going to include Jetty Road Retreat into their itineraries. I mean,
we'd love that.
Absolutely, and look at what you get from here. Lovely, beautiful Gippsland Lakes. Now, thanks a lot, Kim. This has been an absolute pleasure. I want to thank you for hosting all of us and the crew and all that. And
it's our pleasure.
And I would definitely be back here very, very soon.
So excited to work
you.
with Trade, and we're ready and willing and open. To as many visitors as would love to come and experience this beautiful place.
Gippsland has so much to offer, guys. Let's cross back to Paul and see what he's up to now. Thank you, Kim.
So all along the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive, there's some awesome wildlife viewing experiences, and none better than here at Raymond Island. Now, it's very easy to get over to Raymond Island because it's a ferry, and the crossing distance is very short. In fact, it only takes 2 minutes to get across. Now, this is the ferry, and it operates 7 days a week. There is a charge to drive over, but for foot passengers and cyclists, it's completely free. So what we recommend is to park your car on the Paynesville side and then get on the ferry as a foot passenger and come across to Raymond Island. Now remember, once you get to Raymond Island, people actually live here. So respect that and keep things nice and quiet as you walk around and view the koalas. Once you arrive on the Raymond Island side of the ferry, you see this koala information board, and they've got some guide maps here as well, and they're only $2. And all the proceeds go to support the well-being of the koalas, so make sure you donate. All right, let's go and check out the koalas on Raymond Island. So as you make your way around Raymond Island, it's very well signposted, so it's really easy to find the koalas by following the signs, just like this one. So from the ferry terminal to this part where you've got all of these beautiful trees all over the place is about 5 minutes walk, maybe 10 if you're really slow. And on the way here, we'd already counted 4 koalas. And since arriving, there's one in the tree up here, there's another one over there, and they can be anywhere between the very top of the tree or down somewhere relatively close. Like this one we saw on the way was actually crossing the road and in a bit of a hurry to get up the next tree as well. Another great thing about this part of Raymond Island is the echidnas. If you're really lucky, you just might spot one. Well, our koala viewing experience here at Raymond Island is almost done. We've been here for about half an hour and so far we've counted 9 koalas today. This is the 9th one up here, just having a little feed. So if you want to see koalas in their natural habitat, no fences, no cages, just natural koalas exactly where they live, check out Raymond Island on the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive in beautiful Gippsland, Victoria.
What a fascinating island. What a very cute island. Abundance of animals. It's like a Jurassic Park right here in Gippsland. Certainly a place to visit. That's Raymond Island that you just saw. That's great. Now, Paul, Raymond Island does look great, but we were very, very busy. You were very, very busy today, and I believe there was another accommodation you want to show us.
Continuing to check out some of the fantastic accommodation that we have on the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive. And I've got Jan with me from Waverley House Cottages. And
Yes,
Jan,
she is.
we were trying to work out how long you've been a part of Sydney Melbourne Touring. It must be eons.
Yes, I think I must just about be one of the originals now. I think from about 2007, if
Awesome.
I was having a quick guess.
So the property is called Waverley House Cottages. Tell us about the cottages. How many do you have and what styles they have?
Right, well, we've got 6 cottages and there are 3 different types. The one we're sitting in now is a 2-bedroom cottage. There are also 1-bedroom cottages and there's a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom cottage. So,
and fully self-contained?
Fully self-contained. So we're self-catering cottages. That sometimes is something I like to, reassure international guests with, because they'll sometimes come from a hotel in Melbourne and think they're getting daily service, or they'll ask me where the restaurant is. So we put in breakfast packs for guests who would request them, but otherwise the things that excite them the most when they come in here are the lovely spacious homely feeling cottages, but also there's a full kitchen and a full laundry.
Let me show you the laundry. Now, having a look at this, it just looks like a cupboard, doesn't it? But as we open up these 2 doors here, voila, we have a full laundry, the washing machine, the dryer, the ironing board, it's all there. So it certainly is fully self-contained. And of course, if people don't want to self-cater, there's plenty of dining options like 5 minutes away.
Yes, lovely cafes. One lucky thing being in a tourism area is that in Lakes Entrance, the restaurants don't all close for most of the days of the week. In the quieter times, there are lots of cafes and there are a number of restaurants that stay open each night. They will look to close a bit earlier sometimes, but I can always rest assured that guests arriving even reasonably late can get a nice, hopefully seafood meal if that's their desire.
Yeah, lovely.
In our area.
Beautiful. Now,
Yes.
now Waverley House Cottages, you built them from scratch.
We did. My husband's a builder and I'm a retired art teacher, so they are the inevitable collaboration between an art teacher and a builder. Fair bit of attention to detail. We are very proud of them, but we're also in a lovely setting. We bought the property purely because it had established trees on it, and so we've been able to nestle the cottages in amongst lovely gums and continue to add to the plantings around the cottages as well. Yes.
Just having a look and flicking through the guest book here, how does it feel when you're coming in to do a makeover on a room and you're reading some of these comments from your international guests?
They're lovely guest comments, and often we'll pick up on things that we take for granted, like particular trees or shrubs that are around the cottages, or of course the birds. Yes.
And Waverley House Cottages isn't just about the cottages. On the property, you've got swimming pools, barbecue sites, jacuzzis. Tell us about what else you can do on site.
As well as the cottages themselves, each having a spa bath or a two-person spa in them. There's the swimming pool with a covered barbecue area, so you can go and cook something out there and maybe mingle with other guests if you'd like to. Or there's the hot tub, which is over in the other section of the cottages, and that's kept at a nice 34 degrees. And so there is the bonus of being able to soak those aching bones, even if you've just been sitting in a car for a while. So they used a lot and most appreciated. So
beautiful destination. Yes. So George, as you can see, it's almost 10 years since I started with Sydney Melbourne Touring, and working with people like Jan, I just don't want to look at any other job. I just love this this drive along the coast. It really is a magnificent place. Jan, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
And back to you, George.
Wow. That is just wow. Paul, you must pinch yourself to be so fortunate enough to work in this amazing region.
Oh, I sure do, George. I absolutely love this position. I mean, I applied for this position like 10 years ago in May.
Yes.
It's going to be 10 years since I started with Sydney Melbourne Touring. And back then it was like a 12-month contract with no guarantees past that date. And now it's coming up to 10 years. And every time I go on the Sydney Melbourne Coastal Drive or the Inland Drive, the Heritage Drive, it's another new adventure to discover. I never tire of it. It's the greatest job.
Absolutely. It's just a great place. And shall we sort of cross to the fire pit?
You think we should cross to the fire pit?
I think we should cross to the fire. Let's have
here
a look.
we are.
Oh, okay.
There's the crew down at the fire pit.
Looking very exciting there, guys.
So Steve on the right-hand side there, he's our pizza chef. Top job with the pizzas, Steve. They were awesome. And, of course, Kim and Alison we met earlier tonight. And this is what you do in Gippsland. You relax by a fire pit with a glass of beautiful Gippsland Pinot Noir or Shiraz or, you know, the Merlot. Just beautiful wine blends.
You can't go wrong. And you were saying before about, you know, you've done this for 10 years and how you started just with a 12-month contract. But this would not happen without your partners. So
oh, absolutely.
So
we've got so many partners in Sydney Melbourne Touring. Many of them we've actually covered tonight. In terms of our corporate partners, we've got the New South Wales Caravan and Camping Industry Association. They have members all over New South Wales, but their South Coast chapter, I believe, is their greatest chapter membership-wise, with some 70 members. And many of them are also Big Four holiday parks, and Big Four is a great partner, has been for longer than I've been associated with Sydney Melbourne Touring, so more than 10 years.
Love the Big Four.
The Murray River Tourism Board, they take in those beautiful areas of the Heritage Drive like Echuca Moama, Yarrawonga, Mulwala, Albury, Wodonga, and hopefully in the future we'll cover some live streams in those areas, George. We're only doing 3 weeks of live streams to start with because we really want to get feedback from people on what they think. Is it a good concept? Does it work well, etc. And the other corporate partner, of course, is THL. THL are just an awesome partner. We have so many Brits who travel in camper vans. You know, every time we see a Maui or a Brits camper crossing over the Phillip Island Bridge, because that's where I live on Phillip Island, you always know they're Brits or they're Dutch or they're German. But you know, the Brits still continue to be our #1 market for the coastal drive, and all of our corporate partners certainly make that possible.
They certainly do, and you know, it's just been an amazing experience this day, and it's been a great day. It's our last day, but here at Gippsland at the here at Jetty Road, but
it certainly is, George.
It is live, but we are going to do another live one. I'm excited for next week. So
yeah, just ahead of that, George.
Okay. I just want to start the drum roll.
It's like the second week. That last week we're at Phillip Island. And then here we are at Jetty Road Retreat.
Yep.
And we've got these guys sitting in the background who never get a mention. So I just want to throw to Anthony and Indy. Here they are here.
Our production
Indy
team.
in the foreground there is looking after the prompting screen. So, you know, he's sort of keeping us on track. And Anthony's who's doing a little dance there. And many of the people in the UK will know Anthony because he attends our road shows and so forth all the time. He's driving the computers, all of the vision, all of the switching between cameras. He's looking after that. So I just want to say hats off to Anthony and Indy. There's a lot of people who make this show possible.
Yes.
And, you know, we couldn't do it without awesome guys like these couple of guys.
And it is a lot of production. And, you know, I'm privileged to be the host, but to see what goes behind this is quite amazing. But I'm excited. You ready for the drum roll? Next week we're going to...
We are going to Wilson's Promontory National Park, which is just an unbelievable destination, George. This is the southernmost tip of mainland Australia.
Look at
and
this.
If you're looking at some of the footage here, you know, my colleague Anthony, when he talks about it as Australia's Jurassic Park, but the animals are just a little bit more modern. You know, the emus, the koalas, the kangaroos,
It's
the
a biosphere. That's what it is. It is a biosphere.
It is unbelievable. And, of course, George, where are you going to be staying?
We're going to be staying, I'm excited, at the Wilderness Retreat. You should know about it. It is definitely the sought-after retreat for any self-drive. So definitely looking forward to Wilson's Promontory National Park, which means that we're going to have to wrap up.
Yeah, we're going to have to wrap up for today. So it's our second live stream from Jetty Road Retreat. A special thanks to Kim and Steve. They've really looked after us.
Definitely, and I'm sure they'll put it in the itinerary. And guys, I hope you enjoyed this live stream. We're not perfect, but I hope we gave you a lot of information of this most amazing region. And when I say amazing, I'm not saying it because, you know, it's a cliche. It is truly a region that you need to put in your itinerary. So looking forward to seeing you next week.
Love you long time.
See you soon. Bye.
Now what do you mean by we're not perfect, George? I thought we were pretty good.
We are pretty good.